Hello, everybody, and welcome again to Weekly Inspiration with a portion of Hayye Sarah. We know the portion is called Hayye Sarah, the life of Sarah, but the portion is discussing actually the death of Sarah and how Abraham is looking for a solution to bury her body. We know the body and the soul are two different forces. The body is what contain the soul, the light that comes from the above, from the Creator, where the body is a vehicle to bring into expression in this world whatever God put within this physical world, because God is not physical and the body is. So there is got to be a bridge between God, non-physical at all, body being very physical. So the bridge is your soul, the soul that carry within you. And that's why the soul is not here forever, Lamasiya in the world of action. It's just the body. And then the body need to be buried, so the soul will be released to wherever it came from, God. And that's really the idea of death. That's the idea of burial. For that reason, when you bury a person, need to be buried in the ground. It's not just because you humiliate them. The DNA of the body, that's why the body is from dirt you came from dirt you're going to go. So that's the DNA. You got to put the body where it's belong, where you took it from, and then it will allow the soul to also go to where it belongs to. So that's basically the whole story. I mean, there's many story on Chaye Sarah, but I want to emphasize this specific idea. As we all know, when the rabbi give a speech, he can give a speech about the whole parashah story, or on one verse, or on one letter, or one dot. You can decide what you want to give a lecture about. In this case, we're going to take just the subject of the burial of Sarah and the death of Sarah and the finding the place of burial for Sarah, which is today Me'arat HaMachpelah, Kiryat Arba Hebron. So before I'm going into the Zohar, and Debbie is going to read in English for everybody like we did last time, and people really enjoyed and gave us a lot of compliment, and for that reason we're going to do it again. But before we do that, I feel a need to share with you from Maor Enaim. Maor Enaim is basically a book that written by Rabbi Menachem Nachum Chernobyl. Okay, one of the people, the student that live in the time of the Baal Shem Tov and the Megid Mimezrich. So he write like that: Hayye Sarah, the life of Sarah was, 127 years, of course. And I'm going to make it short. I'm not going to make it that long, but I want just to emphasize what it say. כי עצם האדם בתולדתו להימשך אחר אבלי הזמן ולהתגדל ולהתפאר. A person, normal human being, is chasing ego, chasing the להתגדל, to be גדול, to be great, להתפאר, to be with pride. וצריך האדם רוצה להמשיך חיות עליון מבורא, יתברך בקרבו. But if a person would like to bring down the light of the Creator within him, כמו שאמר כתוב, אשכונת דקה ושפל הרוח, like Isaiah chapter 57 verse 15, it says that God is dwelling on the people who are nobody, that they are capable to become nobody, meaning what? להעמיד את עצמיות טבעו, to be able to bury and kill in a way, or bring to death, that טבעו, the nature, the regular nature, שהוטבע בעת היוולדו, that was injected into his body when he was born. And you need to look at the body like it's not as important as the soul. So like the Gemara in Menachot Mem Gimel Amud Bet, in Menachot page 43 section 2, it say, what is God asking from you? Do not say what as ma, you should say me'ah. Me'ah mean 100. So what is that we learn from it? Said to us the Maor Enaim, that the word ma mean what. What is God really want from you? Is we have to look at what Moshe Rabbeinu did. And Moshe Rabbeinu, and those of you who don't capture or understand everything I say, I'm going to summarize it in a second. Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, was capable, you take the word ma, v'anachnu ma, and we are what? So every time you see the word ma, tell us Maor Enaim, it's a word of being humble, like humbling yourself to understand that you are nothing compared to the Creator, and you look at the body as nothing. I mean, you know that the body is destined to be buried, destined to die. So why are we so much into the body, into physicality. And the idea is that we are not aware, or we don't believe truly that there is two dimensions. And when a person is too attached to the physical dimension, the person is not capable to connect to the spiritual dimension. And for that reason, he's bringing also, there is people who are humble only the outside, but the inside is not so humble. And for that reason, how do you know that you are humble for the right reason or the wrong reason? So there is the ma, mem, hey, or there is me'ah, as the Talmud is teaching us. So the me'ah mean 100, you add the letter aleph, and the letter aleph represents alufo shel olam, the champ of the world. Who is the champ of the world? The creator. So when you have the aleph within the ma, within your humbleness, then you know that you are doing it in the right way. Because sometimes people are too humble with manners, but manners does not necessarily mean uh, being humble. Manners can be you just try to get validation from the other human being, and for that reason, that humbleness is, I don't want to say fake, but it's a trying of to be humble, but you're not making it. But in the moment you're humble because you understand the true being humble, you will be connected to the Creator, which is the Aleph within the Ma, which is Me'ah. That's called Alufo Shel Olam, the champ of the world. That's your purpose of being humble. You want to connect to the divine. But if you are too busy being in the physical world, it's almost like a hot air balloon is very much attached to the ground, and you can't let go of the physicality of the hot air balloon, which is the pack of sand that you gotta let go, then the hot air balloon will stay on the ground. That's the same thing with the body consciousness versus the soul awareness. Soul awareness is mo'es. I can't stand that body. That body is just punishing me in a way. He's taking me to places I don't want to go, and that's why I'm stuck within the body consciousness, within the body awareness. And when you're capable to get into a higher level of, let's call it awareness, meaning I'm away from my ego. I'm away, not away from my ego because I'm special to work on the ego, because that's ma without the aleph. I'm away from my ego because I want to connect to the aleph. I want to connect to the alufo shel olam. So I want to start with that, because those of you who listen only the first 5 minutes today, at least that you get what's the consciousness, what's the awareness, what's the weekly inspiration of Hayyei Sarah. The weekly inspiration of Hayyei Sarah is to work on ourselves. So we want to connect to the higher level, and that's why it's called Hayyei Sarah, the life of Sarah. When does the life of Sarah begin? When she's been buried. Yeah, there's a secret. It doesn't talk about Sarah being buried. It's talk about my part, that is the ego part. I'm buried, so it gives a chance to the other part to start. So we're gonna start with Zohar right now, in English and in Hebrew. Debbie will read it, and we are reading. Those of you who have the Sulam, let me see. We are in the verse Kuf Ein Bet. Kuf Ein Bet. Those of you who have Tfus Yashan, Daf Kuf Kav Zayin Amud Bet. That's where it is. So this section is helping us to understand what exactly happened with Eliezer and Abraham, who is going there to look for a soulmate for Isaac, to find Rebecca. And of course, this entire parashah is talking about the body and the soul and the connection, and how we can elevate ourselves from physicality into spirituality. So here we go, Kuf Ein Bet. Debbie will read it loud enough so the mic is on my connection here, but hopefully you can hear Debbie. Okay?
Rabbi Abba said, "We should look at the verse, and he made his camels kneel down outside the city by a well of water." According to Rabbi Abba, outside the city means in the cemetery. By a well of water refers that those who are the first to be revived from the dead in the cemetery are those who dealt in Torah. As we have learned, when a man comes into his grave, he is first asked if he set appointed times to study Torah, as it is written, "And he shall be the faith of your times." Without question, he who responds yes is revived first.
So here we go. The first verse is explained to us a concept of understanding that the Torah is a very important thing. Why is the Torah so important thing? That's connected you to the Aleph Alufo Shel Olam. Let's continue with the next verse, Debbie.
Rabbi Abba said that at the time of evening refers to Friday, Shabbat Eve, the time of the resurrection of the dead. He asks, what is the meaning of these things? He responds, we have learned that the world exists for 6,000 years and that Shabbat Eve is the 6th millennium, the ending of all. Thus, at the time of evening means the time of ending for everything. The phrase, at the time that the women go out to draw water, refers to the scholars of the Torah who draw the water of Torah, the time to go out and shake off the dust, namely the time to resurrect.
Let's continue another verse, please.
Rabbi Abba added that there is more to know, as we have learned that those occupied in knowing their master in this world and their soul to perfection in the world to come deserve to get out of the grave by the oath of the soul Matat was made it swear. For Matat comes to know which is the soul's proper body, as the soul made him swear, and it is written, behold, I stand here by the well of water. Although it is a body of the scholar of the Torah, Matat goes to look for perfection, as it is written, and it shall come to pass that the maid who comes forth to draw, and I say to her, give me, I pray you, a little water from your pitcher, which means, tell me by hint the knowledge of the name from what you conceived.
So let's understand those three verses for a second. I mean, we're having here a very important thing, and I hope we're going to have it digitally appear on the screen so you guys can read it in English as well. And the idea is, let's understand that. I mean, we are talking about burial, and we know that Vayavrech Agmalim, Vayavrech, meaning he took the camels outside of the city. So the Zohar is helping us. What do you mean outside the city? Meaning the cemetery. Cemetery. Be'er Hamayim, the well of the water. Meaning, well of the water. Water usually is Torah. Why is Torah so important? Because it helps you to know that there is God. Why is it important to know that there is God? Because it makes you a servant. When it makes you a servant, you become humble automatically. But if you just become humble without, you become a servant of God. That's the ego itself. So the Aleph within the Ma, which is the Mea, is the whole idea of being humble. So when a person dies within the cemetery, we know from Rabbi Isaac Luria in Shara Gilgulim and Shar Ruach HaKodesh that they resurrect the body in the graveyard, and then the angel talk to him, did you make some time to know God? Did you make some time to study his Torah? And that's the first question being asked a person when you go into the grave. Most people think that the graveyard is kind of a dead place. No, it's very much alive. And he continued to say, what does that mean that it was at Erev? What it mean that Eliezer found Rebecca at the evening? Is teaching us that this universe, our universe, the physical universe as we know it, is destined to have only 6,000 years, because every day is corresponding to 1,000 years. So Sunday is 1,000, then Monday is another 1,000. So we are in a way in Friday Eve, which is the end of time, which is Messiah is supposed to come now. It all depends on our action, my nukvim. It also depends on what we're going to do, how we're going to do, how perfect we're going to do that. And so what does that mean? He saw many people pull the water from the well. Tell us the Zohar. It's talking about sages that shovim ma'mea shel Torah, that pulling the water out of the well, it was basically the study of the Torah. And through that, they can be resurrected. And after that, he's talking about the angel Matat. The angel Matat is Enoch, who become an angel that help with the resurrection. But he's also looking, אף על פי שגוף תלמיד חכם הוא, what about if the body is a body of a sage? Why Matat has to look for the perfection? Because it says, ויהי עלמה יוצאת לשאוב ואמרתי לה השקיני נא מהקדש שפרשה אמור לי רמז ידיעת השם ממה ששגת. So the question that Zohar asks, how can you compare Eliezer, Eved Avram, Eliezer, Eved Knaani? Eliezer was a Canaanite and he was a servant. How can you compare him to an angel, Matat, which is the top of the angel? Because Matat is the servant of God. The same thing, Eliezer is the servant of Abraham. So that's the Gizra Shabbat. Let's compare. What do we learn from it? What's the message from here? The message from here, those of you who try to work on yourself spiritually and being humble and all this and that, it's beautiful. I mean, it's great. It's why not kind of a thing. But to keep yourself in check and to keep the ego in check and to make sure that you're not going too far away from being truly humble is touch the Torah and touch God into your study. And that's the way you know it. Why you cannot do it just as you feel? Because if you do it just as you feel, you are the boss. If you are the boss, you're going to have ego. If you have ego, then you disconnect again from the creator. And you can be humble while you are the boss, but that humbleness is not considered a real humbleness, as we spoke before from Ma'or Einayim. For that reason, that need to be changed only through the Torah, only through the study. And in this week's parashah, when we talk about burial, we got to bury the ego with the happiness, not with the anger, with the happiness, to tell the ego, hey, listen, I got to put you into the ground so you can resurrect better, so my soul can resurrect better, so everything can go better. But if you work on yourself, for example, you say, oh, I got to be polite, I got to be nice, I got to be very kind. It's nice. Nobody going to know the difference. But from your point of view, from the soul point of view, you didn't achieve your goals. I just want to start with that verse. Now we're going to go to another verse, how to do that. What is that we need to do to get to that level? And I'm taking you now to verse 118 in Sulam, or Tfus Yashan Daf Kuf Kaftet Amud Aleph. And let's see how the Zohar is taking us there.
And Avram was old, advanced in age, and Hashem blessed Avram in all things. Rabbi Yehuda opened with the verse, happy is the man you choose and cause to approach to you, that he may dwell in your courts. This verse has already been explained. Nonetheless, happy is the man whose ways are acceptable to the Holy One, blessed be he, who wants to bring himself nearer to him. Come and behold, Avram came closer to the Holy One, blessed be he. All his days, his desire was to come closer to him. Avram did not come closer through one day or at one time, but his good deeds brought him closer every day as he moved from one grade to another until his grade was elevated.
So there's 2 points here in these 2 verses. I mean, first, Ashrei Haish Drachav Ritzuim Lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, good for a person that his action is desirable by the Creator. And because of his action, the Creator want to make him closer. So for me, we learn the action that what make a difference, not the meditation or the consciousness. First, the action has to be a good action. After that, what it say, after that take a place, it doesn't happen one time. Now, why it doesn't happen one time? If it will happen in one time, first the ego will go up, and second, you will not be a true servant. You're always gonna feel good about what you achieve. You will sit there, drink, I don't know, a drink or have your meal and celebrate your achievement. Which here it say בפעם אחר פעם, meaning one time after another, like those of you know עולם אצילות, the world of emanation. Let's continue, please. Kuf Kaf. We'll continue. Shaya Zaken.
When he was old, he entered the supernal grades as he deserved, as it is written, and Avram was old. And then, coming with the days. This refers to the supernal days, the days known by the secret of faith, and Hashem blessed Avram in all, namely, by Yesod of the supernal Abba and Ima, called all, where blessings and every goodness come from, as its plenty never stops flowing.
So it's teaching us in this verse that he was blessed with the days. You know what days? The days are Elyonim. What days are Elyonim? Sod Emunah. Emunah means faith. So people ask, what is more important in spirituality, knowledge or faith? Faith is always the most important thing. Knowledge is a mitzvah to do. That's why you study. You want to have more knowledge. But if the knowledge doesn't give you more faith about God, something is wrong with your knowledge. Go back and work on your faith. So your faith, your certainty, you believe in the Creator is the most important thing you got to do as a spiritual person. The knowledge is important to help you have a faith. And we continue with the next verse.
Happy are those who do tshuva, who in 1 hour, 1 day,
meaning balet tshuva, meaning the people who are able to do tshuva, people who are doing repentance. Let's try to use the right words there.
1 moment, get as close to the Holy One, blessed be He, as most righteous come to the Holy One, blessed be He, over several years. Avram did not come into the supernal days until he was old, as has been explained. Neither did David, as it is written. Now King David was old, advanced in years, but a person who does tshuva comes right in and cleaves to the Holy One, blessed be He. Rabbi Yossi said, we learned that the holy righteous have no permission to be in that place where the people who do tshuva stand. They are closer to the king than everyone else, and draw plenty from above with a more intent heart and greater force in order to come closer to the king. Come and behold, the Holy One, blessed be He, has several places in that world. In them all there are apartments for the righteous, each according to his deserved grade.
So what did we learn here? We learn about righteous people versus people who ba'alei tshuva. It doesn't say chozrim b'tshuva, people who are working on repentant, people who are ba'alei tshuva. Ba'al tshuva meaning the owner of the tshuva, the owner of the repentance. I mean, but how come the righteous people are one step below those people? Because it says that Abraham or King David only in the end of the days achieved that highest level. Why they couldn't achieve it in the beginning? Because when a person is righteous, you gotta go step by step to get better. Rav Ashlag said one of the reasons to have a minyan as to have 10 men is because the men are not equal. Every person is better than the other or worse than another. So you can have a minyan of 20 people and one of them is a wicked person. That wicked person actually within him, within her, they can draw the most amount of light. They not necessarily will receive it, but they will draw it for the group. So when they pray, actually the whole group get light because of them. So the worst person draw the most amount of light, but he's not gonna get it. Those of you who study Rav Ashlag with me from before, or Talmud Asher Sfirot. So it says Baal Tshuva, miyad nechnas umidabek b'kadosh baruch hu. The Baal Tshuva, let's say you Baal Tshuva. What is Baal Tshuva? Let's say you change. I give an example. You decide that you're no longer gonna yell or scream, or you're not gonna eat forbidden food that the Bible says not to eat, or you're gonna start doing a certain prayer in the morning, or you're gonna start study Tikkun Azor from my video every morning before sunrise. You're gonna take on yourself to study all the videos from Tikkun Azor first thing in the morning. If you're in that level, you are above righteous people. You are above Abraham and David who try to work on themselves every day. Because at that moment, God put you on the highest level. The question is why? And it's a little deep answer. I will do the best I can to explain it. There is something in Kabbalah called avyut. Avyut means desire. Avyut means desire. So your capability to control your desire, your fault, your ego, that's define you. A righteous person don't have ego. Righteous person don't have wrong desire. Righteous person don't have lust. Righteous person don't have a need to steal, to kill, or to get angry. They're righteous. They're the highest people. They don't have a reason for that. So they cannot draw the light. But you and me, simple people, we have all kind of weird desire going into our mind and our heart. In the moment that you say no to it, those of you know what masach means, a curtain appear on your avyut, a curtain appear on your desire. And what happens when the curtain appears on the desire? Because you say no to yourself, the same amount of light you want to draw for yourself and you still want it is been pushed back. And for that reason, you go into the highest level. Now, why is that appear here in this week parashah? And why I told you that's the how to do it. To become like the section we said before, you know, if you remember, let me remind you, section we read before, when it's talk about the Be'er and immortality and the whole idea of resurrection of the dead and all the idea of the Mata check the people if they're good or bad, is basically what we need to get to. So you look at yourself. I mean, I look at myself. I cannot judge you. And I say, wow, I cannot be like Rav Ashlag. I cannot be like Ramban. I cannot be like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I cannot be like Rabbi Shimon. What I'm going to do. The point is, your desire, your wrong desire, by the capability to say no to that desire and create a curtain that reflect the light back to the Creator, through that light to go up, that's how you elevate yourself to the highest level, and then the highest level give you the light that you need. So for me, we learn in Hayyei Sarah a way, a style of how to get fast to all those levels. Avram and David, it wasn't fast because they were righteous. But you and me, as simple people, we are not capable to do it step by step because we have issues. We're born with some blemish in our body that was given to us as a gift. Because why is the blemish was given to us as a gift? Because every time you control it, the avyut, control that desire, that's actually what gives you the light. So instead of hating your blemish, hate that you're lazy, hate that you're angry, hate that you have lust for different things, love it. Because every time you don't do it, you get light. But if you take a righteous, they don't even have desire to scream. They don't even desire to kill or to steal or to do wrong thing. They don't have that desire. You do. And because you do and you say no, it's like my friend who decided to keep kosher. Okay, I'll keep kosher. So he say, Eliyahu, you talk to me about kashrut, kosher, and I'm really loving it. In 10 years, I'm eating only kosher. And he looked at me and said to me, there's one thing I'm missing. So what is it? He said, lobster. I said, okay, I never had lobster myself, so I don't know the flavor. And I told him, I make it even worse for him. I said, tell me how it tastes like. He said, why you make my life a hell now, Eliyahu? Don't ask me that. I said, please tell me. Tell me how it tastes like. Well, he started to describe. It's like there is a fish that's called Chilean sea bass with this, with the fat. They describe it, how you eat it, and you go and you break it, I think, something with some tools. And he gave me the whole description. I see that his lips getting wet. And then he looked at me and said, Eliyahu, it's not fair. I said, you don't get it, my friend. This is your biggest blessing. You actually taste it. You actually desire it. Every time you don't eat lobster, every day, you get light. I don't. I never taste lobster. I don't know what it looked like. I mean, I know that people breaking it or what, like the way you describe it. So, but everyone who had ever something that they know it's wrong and they stop doing it, that's what brings you to the highest level of light. How happy you should be. When you hear this lecture, when you hear this part of the lecture, you should be dancing. You should actually be dancing and say, Hashem, God, thank you for my issues that I have with my body. I'm happy about it because through that I can worship you. Through that I can connect to you. That's the Aleph within the Ma. That's how you become humble. You're not being ashamed. Let's say you don't like praying, but you are praying now to Hashem. You're praying. You're so lucky because you don't like it. If you like it, there is no avodah, there is no revelation of light. Or there is a person that cannot be married because before that she or he used to date every week 20 people. Now they're married, they have to be loyal to one person, this is it. But from time to time, the thought is going a different direction. They're so lucky. Why they're so lucky? Because every time they have the desire and they don't act on that desire, they get light. Avraham and David could not do that. Rav Ashlag could not do that because they didn't have wrong desire. So I just want to mention it. When I read it, I was very, very excited. Now, another thing I want to mention, it said that the world will exist for 6,000 years, meaning that in the end of 6,000 years, the Messiah will come, temple, immortality. But it can happen before, depends on who? Not on the righteous people. It depends on those people who are born with blemish. They are the one. They are the one who can bring the light. So we need to bring as many people who are as far away from the light to do one act of goodness. One act of goodness. You can take one negative person and say, hey, Vital has a small Zohar. Do you mind go with me and go to store? Vital has a program to give to the poor. I don't know, glove and coat and blanket. Can we help? Vital have a process to help children in school, to give them the children books that I wrote so they will be there and it will motivate them. Can you come with me to do the act with your body? That's changed the people. So I'm sorry I went long on this section, but I think it's important. Now we're coming to one of my favorite sections in the entire Zohar. It's good for business people as well. The reason I put it there, even I'm sure every year I'm saying it, it's tremendous. It's verse Kuf till we're going to read it from Kuf from 100. It's a good section till 105. So from 100 to 105 in the Sulam. Here we go.
Rabbi Elazar asks, how did Avraham enter the cave? Why did he enter? He responded, he was running after a calf, about which it is written, and Avram ran to the herd. This calf ran to the cave. Avram ran after it and saw what he saw. Another reason was that Avram prayed every day. He came out to the field that was fragrant with heavenly perfumes, saw light coming out of the cave, and entered there to pray. There, the Holy One, blessed be He, spoke with him. As a result, Avraham wanted the cave and always harbored a desire for it. You may ask, why did he not seek to buy it until then? He says, because he had no need for it. He was afraid they would check it, understand his wish and the importance of the cave, and then ask for more money. or they could refuse to sell it altogether. Now that he needed it, the time had come to ask for it. Come and behold, if Ephron had seen in the cave what Avram saw, he would never have sold it. But because Ephron saw nothing in it, as nothing is revealed except to its owner, it was revealed to Avram only, and not to Ephron. It was revealed to Avram because it was his, and not Ephron's, for Ephron had no share in it. Therefore, Ephron saw nothing of the cave. He saw only darkness, and therefore he sold it. Moreover, he also sold him what Avram did not ask him to sell, because Avram said only that he may give me the cave of the Machpelah. For the full price he shall give it to me, and did not mention the field. And Ephron said, the field I give you, and the cave that is in it I give it to you. For Ephron knew not what it was, and found it all loathsome. Even the field in which the cave was loathsome to him. Therefore he sold the field too, although Avram did not ask for it. Come and behold, when Avram entered the cave for the first time, he saw a light. The dust was removed from before him, revealing 2 graves. Adam rose from the grave in his rightful form, saw Avram, and laughed. By that, Avram knew that he was destined to be buried there.
So what do we learn in these 5 verses? Very important 5 verses. First lesson is how did he come to find the Marat Machpelah? So he went there, similar story to Moses, chasing the egel, the calf, and basically when he went there and he saw whatever he saw, what he saw, the dust was removing to store 2 grave. Adam raised from his grave, realized that Adam and Eve are buried there. So it was an important thing. The question is why he didn't buy it there? Because he didn't need it. And if you don't need something, in a way, you don't buy it. So it's a lesson for us. The third lesson is why you don't tell people you want it, because maybe they're going to raise the price, or they don't want to sell it to you. And if you know there is important things there, you should not show desire if it's very important, which is a great discussion by itself, which I'm not going to go into. The verse that I like very much, if Ephron, the person who sold him the land, would see what he's selling, he would never sell it. So the question that the Zohar is asking, out there, you negotiate a deal like this when the other person is not aware of what he's selling. Well, en davar mitgale ela be'alav, the thing that belongs to you only revealed to you. You are the only one who know the real value of a person, of a land, of anything. And for that reason, Ephron not only didn't like the land and the cave of the Machpelah, he was begging Avram to take not just the cave, say, take the land, take the cave, take everything, and I will pay you whatever it takes. So for me, we learn that the value of thing is only being appreciated by the person who desire it. And why would you desire it? Because God put within you the awareness, the eyes, the ears to be able to see and listen what's important about that piece of land. And through that, you develop a desire to it. And by developing the desire to it, the dwelling, the light of the Creator come and help you. So for me, we learn, the whole negotiation of real estate, when you buy a land, apartment, building, whatever it is, or it's also teaching you that how to apply with your desire when you're not sure if the people in front of you would want to sell it or want to kind of give it away. You should not show the desire. Don't awake your desire. Instead of it, be aware that you want it, but don't specifically say why you want it. How does that connect to this week's parashah? It's teaching us that it's worth it to control your desire, not just for spiritual reason, for the reason that if you are too much wanting something, you will not be aware if that part is belong to you or not, because your desire can come from the dark side, and then you will start drawing all kind of things that really don't belong to you, and you're going to end up with the wrong thing. I would like to end up the lecture by basically sharing with you and telling you that parashat Hayye Sarah, within parashat Hayye Sarah, there is endless amount of secret, and I highly recommend that people study 2 different books, the Hayye Sarah, this section, as much as you can, and to remind you that the ability to see the good within something, it's an amazing thing. And I would like to end up with something I heard from Rabbi Mizrahi, one of the shul that I go to, and it's a beautiful thing that he say, the difference between Lot and Avraham. Lot, before he was kind of kicked out from the city of Sodom and Gomorrah, he didn't realize he's not part of the people who live in Sodom because he was rich, he was famous. Only about a few hours before the angel tell him, we got to take you out of there, he realized that he's not part of them. They all start to look at him like, you're not part of our family, you're not part of our neighborhood, you're not part of our community, which is a very it's an insult. Nothing is insulting a person more than being pushed away from society. Even his sons-in-law make fun of him because he want to belong in Sodom. He want to belong to that city, but he was never belong. On the other hand, we look at Avraham. When Avraham come to negotiate, he say, "Ger v'toshav ani imachem." He say, "I'm living here with you, but I'm a ger. I'm an outsider." So Avraham knew his place. He knew that he's not belong to wherever he is, but he's still living there. So what is the lesson for us, from Avraham? The lesson for us is to get to a place you always have to remember who you are, your identity, and don't be ashamed of who you are. Stand tall if you're spiritual. This is who you are. You are a spiritual person. So if you're a spiritual person and you try to belong in a club that everybody taking some drugs and dancing till tomorrow, it's ger v'toshav ani imachem. You happen to be in a club, but you not really belong there. But if you feel you belong there like Lot, eventually you'll be kicked out from there in the wrong way after Sodom and Gomorrah will be destroyed. Thank you for listening, and you have a beautiful day.